Hi everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoy our shows, please like our videos and subscribe to our channel. And remember to hit the bell for notifications. And you can support us via PayPal, Patreon, Bitcoin, and through our website, ageoftruth.tv.
Hey Lucas, wow.
Great.
This is so exciting. I'm getting goosebumps.
Wow, that's wonderful. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you, likewise. Likewise. I love you, Luke.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Age of Truth TV. I'm Lucas Alexander in Copenhagen, Denmark. It's the 3rd of June 2021, and our guest today is a fascinating, progressive, extraordinary, and provocative lady from Spain who now lives in Mexico. She is an artivist, an artist and activist, author, model, and actress who's become quite controversial for her eye-opening and unusual street art installations featuring herself at the center of peaceful protests against highly controversial political topics, human rights, animal rights, 5G, chemtrails, the Israeli conflict, and much more. She became known on the scene of artivism as Jill Love Revolution, an international social movement to raise awareness, motivate society, and expand consciousness. Her mission is to awaken a force in those who view her fascinating and extraordinary images, to awaken society, ignite ideas, and incite people to action by peacefully and artistically fight for social rights, animal rights, and environmental rights. Her name is Davida Sal, but she calls herself Priestess Davida. Good evening from Copenhagen, Denmark, and good morning to our fascinating guest, Davida Sal, aka Priestess Davida, the Artivist Priestess, joining us from Tulum, Mexico. We are thrilled to welcome you on Age of Truth TV. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, I'm truly honored and grateful to have this opportunity to share my message with all of you. So thank you. Gracias. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. You are originally from Spain and now you live in Mexico, and that's actually the same language. All of you speak Spanish, and you've had quite a fascinating, extraordinary, really controversial journey as an artivist. An artist and an activist. You're actually also a model, I guess, and an actress, and you've been doing this for a long time. But before we go into, let's say, the more specific details of what you have done and what we can talk about, world topics, hidden secrets, and everything that you are exposing through your street art, please introduce yourself to the audience. Tell them a little bit about your background and your history and how you got started.
Thank you. Well, I was born in Barcelona, Catalonia, which wants to be independent from Spain. And that's where I began my revolutionary instincts to develop. Through my mom, she was pro-independence of Catalonia. So we were always fighting for freedom and rights and liberation. So I grew up in that soup, revolutionary soup. That's how I call it. And, I was born like 41 years ago, and I'm not ashamed of saying I'm 41, and I keep myself really youthful.
You look 29.
Thank you. Thank you. It's the energy, it's not about the age, the numbers, it's how you carry yourself and your energy. So I always wanted to be an actress. I always wanted to make movies. I had a wild imagination. So my dream was to go to Hollywood, right? And then one day I met someone and he convinced me to move to Los Angeles, and everything began there. That was in 2005. And I left Spain. I was in the peak of my career. I was in Madrid, like making movies or modeling, TV. But I always wanted to be loyal to my childhood dream, just go to Los Angeles and kind of open the horizons even more. So if you dream bigger. It takes the same amount of energy, So love came into my way. I moved to Los Angeles. And once I was there, it didn't meet my expectations because, what you see on TV, on the movies, is not what's the reality of Hollywood. And it's a dirty place full of homelessness and crime and mean people, I made like 5 movies as a director, producer, actress, because it was my dream, right? It was kind of surrealistic movies that nobody understood but me. And it was really artsy, independent. And I decided to take a break from making movies. And I wanted to have a bigger impact in the world. And then 2012 came. And that was the end of the world, right? The end of the Mayan calendar. And that was the end of the world for me because my beloved mother passed away. So that was the beginning of a new life, a new way of conceived life. And while I was in Spain, my green card expired. So there was a reason why my green card expired. So I had to spend more time with my father. He was older and we kind of reconnected. And then there was the high peak of the Spanish Revolution after the El 15 de Mayo. Do you remember the 15 de Mayo revolution in Spain? All the students camping in the squares in the big cities. So the kind of developed into the Rodeo Congreso, which was a new movement about, just surrendering the Congress in Madrid. So all the people were protesting austerity measures, gag laws. People were really pissed, really angry. And they had the right, all the right in the world to be angry, because Spanish government is so corrupted, so sick, and so fascist. You know, we actually joke that Franco, dictator Franco, never died, because it's just kind of extended through the monarchy and through the government.
Well, it's like a lot of people saying that Hitler never lost the war, the Second World War. Actually, he was supposedly saved and taken to South America. And we, of course, know a lot of Nazi scientists that were brought over through Operation Paperclip after the war.
Yeah, Operation Paperclip. And I know all about, because my good friend Brad Olson, he has an amazing mind, and I'm a sapiosexual, so I'm really attracted to this kind of man, right? That makes me think, stimulate my brain. So he told me when he went to the Eden Hotel Eden, Hitler without a mustache, and a photo was taken of him while having lunch with friends. And well, I don't want to get too much into that, but right now I believe we're in the fourth right. This is the fourth right. It's a global right. So we are in the midst of it, you know. So anyway, so in 2012, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of conflict, you know, between the protesters, the riot police. And I had this divine call of interfere and just calm the wild beasts, you know, kind of shift the energy around me. And I was in the middle of this protest. And I thought, what can I do to really bring peace? A moment of peace and silence into this moment of chaos and confusion. So what can a woman can do, right? So the easiest thing was to remove my clothes and to kneel down and pray to the goddess. And I was actually wearing this necklace of Isis. I'm a priestess of Isis. And I was wearing this. This is really special. It's been with me for so long, and it was kind of protective shield. And I closed my eyes and kneeled down. I was topless. And I was praying to the Isis, to the goddess, to bring a moment of beauty and peace. And I was just hearing all these people like saying, wow, what's going on? Blah, blah, in Spanish, of course. So I noticed the energy completely shifted. Then I opened my eyes, and I was surrounded by journalists, photographers from all over the world. And the riot police was on one side, the protesters in the other, but they were not throwing stuff to each other, beating themselves up. No, it was like kind of like Moses when it's open the ocean, you know. It's a moment of, I just felt so empowered that I was able to shift the energy of such a like multidisciplinary crowd. It was thousands of people.
So you removed your clothes and you were totally naked, except for that ISIS medallion that you're wearing right now. Is that how it happened? And then everything stopped and people started looking at you.
I actually had my panties on. But you can see through, you know, my panties you can see through. So it's almost nude.
But you've never been afraid of removing your clothes. That's actually been, well, largely what you have been doing in your work, and we'll get to that as well. But I mean, this is quite brave and quite bold and unusual for a woman as well. And this created, well, not havoc, but actually excitement, and people calmed down. Is that what actually took place there in Spain when you did this?
Yeah, exactly. Because first of all, it was November. It was really cold. Madrid is really cold. So, but I didn't feel anything because my chi was so high. I was full of fire, right? And then I was like the contrast between a nude body, you know, of a woman among all these people with these coats, and the riot police with the the suits and the shields and everything was such a huge contrast that people were like, wow, and it was just such a simple act. It was so simple that anybody can do it, right? And I think it brings you closer to the rest, because when you show your nude body, your vulnerability, people can sense who you are. They feel more compassion, and and it's empowering at the same time, right? You show your vulnerability, your body, your scars, but at the same time, it's so empowering.
But not everybody would feel comfortable doing that, and a lot of people would be too shy. But you obviously, well, you felt good about your body. You could present it. It looked good, and you were comfortable in your own skin, so to speak.
I've been always so comfortable with my own skin. My oldest brother was taking me to beaches in Spain. My cousin, she was taking me to nude beaches. So in Spain, it's so normal to be topless, to be nude. Like if you go to the beach and you are not topless, people look at you. Like you are the weird person not being topless. It's not like US. It's just the opposite. So yeah, I mean, what's the deal, right? This is just the human suit.
Well, a lot of men might be moving to Spain now.
Well, actually, they do all the time. Look at Mallorca. It's owned by Germans. It's like a German island, Mallorca.
Well, a lot of Danish people go to Mallorca all the time.
You guys love Spain because you can party. It's cheap, great food, naked women. It's the paradise.
Right. So actually, this was what got you started, and this was what got a lot of attention, and this got you more attention than you got as an actress, or what? And that started what you did. I mean, the first thing you created was called Jill Love Revolution. That was your name, Jill Love. At this point, you've now changed it to DAVIDA SAL, or Priestess DAVIDA, and I think you can talk about why the name changes. But this was what gained you notoriety in a way, and attention, as Jill Love Revolution.
Yeah, and I love the attention. There is nothing wrong with bringing attention to oneself when you use that attention to deliver a universal message that it's not about you. So what I'm doing, it's not about me. I'm just a poster child. Somebody has to put the face and a body and speak the words, but I'm actually in a divine mission. And that's how I feel it. That's how I embody, and that's how I believe it, that I'm in a divine mission. And I use my body. That's all I have. My body, my creative skills, my beauty, if I have any. So to bring attention to the things nobody wants to see, to expose the shadows and the ugliness of humanity that nobody wants to see through my own beauty. It's a fish hook,
You have said, and I quote, "I expose all the things that are hidden and silenced. I expose these things to the world, and I've done a really good job. Every time I see injustice in the world, something inside me starts burning. I will stand up for my rights, for your rights, the rights of all humans, animals, nature. That is my life's mission." But I mean, what motivated you when you said this? And this is what you've done, and you've been quite relentless, tireless. You've been on the street living as a homeless person, as voluntarily. You have done the most outrageous art that I think well seen for years, or maybe ever. Please talk about what motivates you. You talk about these things that are hidden and silenced in the world. Please mention some of those things.
Well, the way we treat other humans, genocides, like I grew up always thinking, why nobody did anything about the Holocaust? Why not the Pope or the men in power back in the days spoke up about the genocide of not only Jews, but gypsies, homosexuals, because the Holocaust, many other people died, not just the Jewish population, right? So I was thinking, why nobody did anything about that? So, and I grew up like watching these oil spills, on the beach, and all these animals covered with oil, dolphins, birds. Grew up with all those impactful, shocking images. And I always thought, I want to become a superhero and just do something about it. I was just like so decided to do something about it, and it just makes me sleep better at night, feeling that I'm doing something for humanity, that I'm not just here to fulfill my little human needs, my ego needs,
But a lot of people are doing things doing things like that, let's say, doing these artivist installations. We have seen those over the years, but oftentimes, or let's just say very, very rarely, we see people doing activism and artivism the way that you are doing, exposing topics that are so controversial, totally hidden, things that they don't want anybody to talk about, things that we discuss on our show, for example, about what is really going on in the world, hidden secrets, of course, about the political deep state, and also 5G, and chemtrails you have done about oil, and you've done about so many things, and you've also been sitting on a golden toilet at Donald Trump's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, where you were taking a golden shower. Please also explain this, because I think this will be quite controversial for a lot of viewers.
Yeah, I just, I do many things. I have so many ideas, but all I do is because those are the causes I care the most. In human rights, animal rights, nature rights, those are the ones that I get more passionate about. I explained everything in my first book, Jill Love Revolution. These are all the things I care about, and they're all so different. I can speak about the Armenian genocide, because I got introduced through a friend. She told me about what happened with the Armenian genocide. I had no idea. I was clueless. I was ignorant. Once I knew about that, I decided to do something. For hunting, animal hunting, Palestinians, bullfighting, all the things I care the most.
And this book, Davida, just came out this year,
or
what?
And this is the second one. It's a little smaller, so it's easier to ship, because I ship internationally. And this one is so heavy and so big.
So it's basically a picture book, is it? It's a coffee table photo book, but also with descriptions and stories about your different art exhibitions and installations, and how you've used yourself as an object, of course, on the street for street art, huh?
Yeah, it's the problem, solution, and reaction. So I expose the problems, and then I come with a solution, and then I share the reactions globally, internationally, through media and press. Everything I do goes viral. Some things not so much, but this is the day I was telling you in Madrid, the first day of the Love Revolution, when I just found myself surrounded by all these photojournalists. They were calling me the ISIS priestess, because I was, they saw the ISIS and I was praying. So that's how it began, right? To become the ISIS priestess.
A lot of people in America watching this will probably say, why is she calling herself the ISIS priestess? Because the group, the terrorist group ISIS that we hear about, it's given the goddess ISIS a very bad name, huh? A bad reputation.
Exactly. And this has been happening for thousands of years. It's an attack to the divine feminine. Since Isis, since Cleopatra, Augustus wanted to kill Cleopatra and drag her around Rome, the dragging her like with horses, it's an attack to the divine feminine. Like Mary Magdalene was a whore, a prostitute. Then we're witches, they were burning us in the Middle Ages, we're all crazy and witches and bad people, right? Lilith. So it's another attack to the divine feminine. So calling this terrorist group ISIS is not an accident, it's premeditated, because ISIS is back, she's coming back, and they know that. So it's been this millennial battle against good and evil, that ISIS is a huge warrior of the light and the peace and the freedom of humanity. And then her evil brother Set is the god of chaos and death. So Set brings death and ISIS brings life. So it's been happening all along. Like in US, calling them ISIS is really catchy. The terrorist group, ISIS. In Europe, they were calling them Daesh, right? Daesh or ISL or something like that. So
it's not very good and it's actually not okay, so to speak, to use an Egyptian goddess or any name that we know, a historical figure, as a terrorist group. But we also suppose that they were organized and orchestrated by the US government, huh?
Exactly, and it's been, ISIS priestesses has been prosecuted and they had to worship her in caves, hidden from society. And that's why ISIS has many names. She has 10,000 names because, like me, I've been prosecuted, censored, they tried to cancel me. So I had to come up with a new name, a new personality, a new Facebook account, a new Instagram account with a new name. So,
So it's because of censorship that you have been changing your name, because you were getting quite some notoriety for your Jill Love name, right? I mean, that is if people know you, that is basically the name that they know you for, right?
Yeah, but I tell them I'm not that person anymore. And, I'm Davida Sal, and it's not about the name of the person behind, it's what I do. So what I do will always be there, because I made these books to pass it on to generations. So once I'm gone, these books are going to be there. They're not going to be just on Facebook or on internet, something tangible you can touch, smell and feel. I love books. So people don't read anymore. We have attention span really short. So that's why I include pictures. So people see the pictures. That's why my activism is visual, because one image is worth a million words. So my images have to be very striking, very powerful to convey the message.
So please talk about some of those messages. I mean, we have been mentioning some of them, but I mean, do you think that some of the work that you've done have actually changed anything? I mean, certainly it's been some eye-opening, extreme exposure, and people have been very fascinated by seeing you, obviously, because it's something you can't forget once you've seen it. But is it something that has actually made a difference?
Absolutely, absolutely, especially for Palestinians in 2014 during the Israeli operation Destructive Edge. They call it protective edge. I call it destructive edge because,
it's very, very controversial to talk about Israel, right?
Very, very. And, I'm a Jew, so I'm allowed to. So, you can still, they try to silence you, calling you names, anti-Semitic, blah, blah, blah. Like people say things they don't even know what it means, the Semites.
So you're actually a Jew, but you were fighting for the Palestinians, their side of the conflict. And you've done you did a really, really controversial art installation where you were covered in blood with the Israeli flag on the sidewalk, huh? Yes, let's see the picture there.
So nothing to see here, just a blown up Palestinian baby. Keep moving. It's a strong message, right? So I had the baby, real size baby doll, you know, that I burned. I made a hole with chicken liver, blood. You know, I made it look so real that when I was on Hollywood Walk of Fame, people thought I was a real Palestinian with a baby. You know, it was like nobody could think I was a performer or a protester, right? I made it look so real.
You always create these different characters, you know, because you are an actress. And then you put yourself into the situation and people, well, oftentimes believe it's that it's a real situation, right?
That's what I'm looking for. I want them to believe it when they see it, you know. It's because it's real to me.
But what happened with this? Why did you do this thing, talking about the Israeli conflict with the Palestinians and that baby?
Well, because as a Catalan, I identify so much with the Palestinian suffering for independence, autodetermination. They have been oppressed. They have been, you know, because the culture, the language, they're trying to just dismiss and make them disappear, right? Little by little. So nobody's speaking up for Palestinians.
So that conflict, Davida, that conflict there is actually the center of the global world conflict. Would you not agree?
Exactly. Everybody is fighting for the piece of land for a reason, you know.
But they're working quite closely, obviously, with the American government and the European government as well, and the noble houses, of course, in the European nobility, the bloodlines that, of course, are connected to the bloodlines in the U.S.
Yeah, like Israel has all the support, all the power in the world. They have more nuclear armament than any other country in the world. Yet they point fingers to Iran and North Korea, but they have more nuclear bombs than any country in the world, and it's a tiny little state, right? So they're holding so much power, so much support. Nobody's speaking up for the Palestinians. The Palestinian spirit is so resilient. It's such it's amazing, mesmerizing how they keep celebrating life amidst death, you know, and they're always happy. They're always sharing what they have, the little things they have. The Palestinian spirit is the most powerful. Even more than Israel nuclear bombs and power and money and support, the Palestinian spirit is what really motivates me to help them, you know, because nobody thinks about Palestinians, right? So,
well, I guess the Jews are also suffering. I mean, the Jewish people. I'm not talking about the Jewish elite there. I'm talking about the people. They're also suffering, and most people appear to want peace between them, actually. I mean, the people that are suffering.
Yeah, well, you know, like Israel is the Zionist state. It's not the Jewish state. They hijacked the religion, Judaism, to play the victim card, you know, and say, oh, we have the right because we have suffered so much. And if you criticize us, we're anti-Semitic, blah, blah, blah. But no, I'm against the Zionism, you know, and the real Orthodox Jews, they burn Israeli flags in you know, in New York. And they march for Palestinian human rights all over the world. And, you know, they had to exile, they had to escape Israel. They were prosecuted, they were beaten up for speaking up for Palestinians. The same Orthodox Jews. So, I mean, even inside the Judaism, there are many different kinds of Jews. Ashkenazi Jews, Sephardi Jews, Ethiopian Jews, Orthodox Jews, and they're all against of each other, you know. The Ethiopian Jews are the real Jews, and they have been expelled from Israel. You know, they're so racist among them, you know, yet you cannot criticize them.
I guess every time somebody is talking about that in public, especially in America, also in England, I guess, then, you know, it's too controversial to do that publicly. We famously remember the acclaimed Oscar-winning British actress Vanessa Redgrave, who were banned from Hollywood, I guess, for about 10 years or so, when she did a movie about the Palestinians and made a very famous, infamous speech when she received the Oscar for the film Julia in 1977. And I guess she's one of the very few people who's actually been speaking out and been very proactive in that way.
Yeah, it reminds me of Marlon Brando when he sent this Native American girl that she ended up to be an actress, but it doesn't matter, to receive the Oscar for Marlon Brando, that he spoke for the Native Americans. Those are real people, real human beings, real actors. Those are the people I look up to, not the ones who are afraid to speak up because they're going to lose their careers and stuff, So Vanessa Redgrave, what a goddess, what a priestess. And Marlon Brando, what a powerful man,
And some of the great actors and actresses, I mean, some of the really greats there.
The good ones, the best ones, right? Because, I was in Hollywood too, right? I was in Los Angeles. I was trying to make myself a name and a career. And everybody told me, well, you won't be able to work in this city ever again if you do this. Yet I did it. I didn't care about my career. Who cares about me? There are millions of actresses way better than me, more beautiful, younger. Who cares about me having a career? I care about human rights and human dignity, and the Palestinians, they deserve to be heard, to be appreciated, to be felt. So what I want to tell you about that campaign, that has a global repercussion. It went viral. And then all these women all over the world, from Malaysia, Italy, Germany, all over the world, they did the same I did, with the same sign, the same attires, the same blood, the same baby. It was a domino effect. That was how powerful it was. And then somebody said, well, maybe this campaign helped to stop the conflict, to stop the deaths. And I believe so. Not just me. It's that I show them the way to create an impact through art in a peaceful way. And it's really empowering. And that's why I'm making these books, to really empower you to do the same, to follow my steps, because we have so much power. We don't have to be angry and throwing things at each other and burning things. No, use your own creative skills,
But a lot of people would not be this brave and not be this daring and bold like you. And also it's unusual because you're a woman. Do you think that perhaps because you are a woman, you get less, let's say, fewer confrontations, or do you get a lot of confrontations? Because I would assume that a lot of men would not attack you either verbally or physically, of course, and neither would women, where if men would do this and, go on the street looking like that, or even being nude or in this attire, playing these drastic characters, maybe they would find themselves in a great conflict quite soon after they have done that. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I get all kinds of reactions. They call me names. They call me cunt. There is a video on YouTube with a Palestinian activism performance that we have a couple of people walking by saying, "You cunt." And it was just so empowering because I was totally laying on the floor, silent.
Sorry.
Vulnerable, dead. And yet he was that's the way Palestinians are treated. And it was caught on camera. So they actually make the performance even better. Then I had the Jesus preacher that was saying all these evil things about me, that you're going to go to hell, you're going to burn in hell, you're a sinner, what are you doing half naked, you're ashamed, blah, blah, blah. So I have that in camera too on YouTube. And they're making the performance even more meaningful, right? And I don't say anything, I don't react to them. And that's the most empowering thing, because I let them be. I let them show them their true colors,
But do you actually feel safe when you're doing this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have my ISIS. And, I always have cameras and photographers. So everything it's going to be done to me, it's going to get caught on camera.
But do you bring those photographers yourself, or do they just show up? Or do you let them know? Do you like send out a press release, or how does it work?
Well, at the beginning, I didn't know how to write the press release or do anything of that. I have no idea. Little by little, I got to learn. But at the beginning, I was just going there with my signs and my thing, and then they were all coming to me, you know. So little by little, I learned how to, create an event page on Facebook and invite journalists to come and cover the event, little by little. I thought, well, the bigger the audience, the better. So, and then the photographers, they were coming to shoot photos and they were selling them for thousands of dollars. There was a photo of the femicides in Mexico City. That photo was selling for $700.
And you didn't get any profit from that or any money for
no,
for
because
that?
they work for routers and they work for other companies. So the photographer doesn't get that much money. It's a company with work for it, But what I do, I get the photos, high resolution for my books in exchange, So it's a good exchange.
And then maybe you can sell your books and then earn a little from that. Is that how it works?
Yeah, exactly. So this photo is for the feminicides in Mexico, which is the real pandemic. Like up to 50 women in Mexico die daily in hands of their husbands or by gang members or violence against women in Mexico. So I did something in Mexico City for that. So this photo was selling for $700. I looked it up and I even share this in my book, So I contacted the photographer and I said, hey, well, I'm glad you're making money out of my art, but now I'm going to make a book. Can I get the high resolution files? And I said in such a nice way that it always works out,
But do you also feel that you have to be a little bit of a businesswoman doing this? Because I would imagine that you don't make a lot of profit of doing your kind of work, do you? How do you survive and make a living generally?
Well, I have supporters, sponsors, people who really believe in me, and then I quote them on my book. Like this, I call them Angels of Love Revolution. These are all the people who have supported me, sending me money for my plane tickets, hotel, things I need, and they help me. And then I do other things. I'm a photographer. I have other sources of income. And then I sell my books, all over the world. People contacted me on Facebook and say, I want a book. And I do it directly, personally. I don't do it through Amazon anymore. I don't believe in Amazon. I used to sell my first book through Amazon. And then there was a Chinese company. They were selling my book half off. And I thought, where the heck they get my book from to make copies? And, I printed in Mexico, in China the first time. So.
Oh, so they had the raw files and then they made copies.
Yeah, they had the raw files. They were selling my book half price. My books are expensive to make. I was selling them for $60 each. So they sell them for $30. So people go to Amazon, they look, do you love revolution? Where are the voices of the herd? Oh, $30. I'll buy that one, So I'd rather just do it like one-to-one. If you really want my book, you'll find me.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds really dreadful. Yeah. So you make ends meet in different ways. Are you in any way involved in, let's say, this world shift kind of organization, which is this climate change linked to this extinction rebellion, which they do suspect are funded by the Club of Budapest?
The Club of Budapest.
Yeah.
I didn't know that thing. I have so many friends in Budapest.
Well, let's say it's a little brother to the Club of Rome, which originally initiated and created the whole climate change agenda.
Oh,
which formed into the UN Agenda 21, and I guess the Club of Budapest, which does involve a lot of movers and shakers and spiritual people, but people also expect this to be some kind of a hijack involved with these secret society platforms and clubs such as the Club of Rome. I just wanted to ask you, because you have done a lot and it has been quite extraordinary, and in some kind of way you've been quite promoted. So a lot of people would ask you if you have been funded by something or someone behind the scenes.
no, they're all friends and family, and people who believe in me, and and funded by who? I mean, these guys, I'm useless for them. Um,
And also, you've been quite provocative in what you have been doing. You've also covered yourself in blood. I don't expect it to be real blood.
yeah,
Huh?
I love to cover myself with blood. To be honest, I love blood. Every time I cut myself, I suck it all in. I just love the coppery taste of blood. I just love blood, but my own, my own. Don't be afraid.
So you are a real life vampire, is that it?
Well, I don't use blood anymore. I use other things to keep myself young. So more like white things, white really creamy things. I don't use blood anymore. But this is for bullfights, bullfighting, animal rights. So it looks real, right? I know how to make blood, because when I watch movies made in Hollywood, I can tell it's fake. The blood is super fake, super bright red. I say, come on, with all these millions of dollars, you make such a shitty blood. I make a better blood, with little resources. So this, for example, in Madrid, the capital of bullfighting in the world, I did this. That's really bold. And I got a few people saying, "Hey, you bad."
Yeah, and bullfighting is, of course, this very legendary and quite horrendous tradition in Spain.
They call it art and culture. And torture, death is not art. It's not culture. I mean,
But how? Why do they call it art? I mean, it's a game. It's a tradition. It's a what are they called? Not a troubadour, but what do they call these gentlemen in the hat?
yeah, it's the art of bullfighting. Like Spain, it's really barbaric. In Spain, they used to throw goats from the church tower all the way down, and they throw like live ends to one another. They do really barbaric things. They set bull horns on fire, then they chase the bull. It's just that they do like really Middle Ages traditions in Spain.
And they're suffering for hours, right?
Yeah, because the bull is really a prideful animal, full of pride, and they remove everything from it. They drag the bull before it comes into the plaza. They burn their tails, they do all these nasty things. The bull has no chance. It's not 1-to-1. It's not a fair battle. It's not a fair combat, Then the torero comes with all these type things, showing his huevos, his crotch, and So what I really enjoy about bullfighting? When the bull is horning the motherfucker balls, like between the legs, that I just love it. When the torero gets horned between the legs, I love it. I love it. Or when they lose an eye, I'm sorry, I don't feel sorry for you. So I know it sounds harsh, but
You're quite a warrior woman, Davida, huh?
yeah, I'm a mixed.
Although you want peace, and of course this tradition is quite vile, of course, and I don't know why people get a kick out of seeing animals or anybody else suffering. I mean, this is quite horrendous. So it's very understandable that you have done some protests against that, and it's very fascinating also the way that you are doing it. How was it received? Because that also made it to into the mainstream media, huh? Into the press.
Yeah, so after my 2014 Palestinian human rights campaign, I became really worldly known, especially in Arabic Muslim countries like Malaysia. I'm a big personality, celebrity in Malaysia. Seriously. So all these Muslim countries, they have high respects for me, right? So when I share these images with the blood naked and stuff, they share that in the Muslim countries. They, wow, so something they could have never imagined somebody could do for animals, some kind of like awakening this sector of humanity's society that have no idea what's going on, and they never thought about animal rights, because what they do with the goats and stuff, so they have no preconception of, they don't feel animals have soul, so animals are here just to serve us, right?
But do you think that it gains more attention what you're doing because you are a woman? Do you think a man would get that kind of attention?
Well, I don't know. There is a Russian artivist who's been he has his Russian name. Don't ask me the name, but he actually nailed his balls in the Russian square. In Russia, he was totally naked and he nailed his balls into the plaza, this famous Russian square. What's the name with the church?
The Kremlin?
Yeah.
The Red Square?
The big one, right? The Red Square. So that was a really amazing performance because he
But that sounds absolutely outrageous. Why would anybody want to do that?
That's how it feels to be a Russian in Russia right now. And that's what that image explains, that, that's feeling your balls nailed into the ground. As a Russian, you have no rights, no freedom. That was really powerful.
Yeah, but isn't this a little bit too extreme, too outrageous? I mean, people can't do that. I mean, do you think this is really necessary? Isn't this just plain stupid, actually, to do something like that?
Well, no, I have high respect for him because, you have to do really crazy things nowadays to call people's attention. He actually saw his mouth do, he saw it too. And then he set on fire a bank. Outside the bank, he set it on fire, and that's why he's in prison right now. But that's really extremist, right? Russians are so intense.
I'll say.
But it works. It works. I mean.
So, Davida, what is the most extreme thing that you have ever done?
Most extreme thing. Well, the craziest thing was to become the wall, Trump's wall on the Walk of Fame. So because I thought, no, we don't need walls. Think about all these animals that trying to immigrate, go to other lands. They don't understand the walls. I used to live in Arizona, 20 miles from the border, and they were building the wall, and there was horrible wall, like huge, and it was like such an eyesore. And it's blocking all the animals from trespassing, from having like immigration and stuff. So I was thinking, I'm going to build a wall on Walk of Fame. So I'm going to I'm going to block them from walking freely on the Walk of Fame and see how it feels.
And that was in front of Donald Trump's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
And that was the first time you were there, right? That was before that golden toilet, which we'll come to in a moment.
No, that was after, because after the golden toilet, I was contacted by Larry Flynn from Hustler magazine. He wanted to include me in the 45th anniversary of Hustler magazine, which was about activism, women's rights, and freedom of expression. So he asked me to do something. And I said, I want to do this about the wall, I want to become the wall, a sexy wall, right? With the boobs and the vagina. But I was like, Star Wars Luke, when he's trapped in the rock and tries to escape. You know that moment?
What are you talking about specifically? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, or like Michelangelo, when he was carving all these men out of the rocks, That's the idea I had. So just kind of coming out of the wall, right? Becoming the wall, but just, I don't know if you saw it, but that was really striking. So people were writing on the wall. They were throwing eggs on Trump's star. It was like I had a box with toys that people could use, and they were all expressing themselves on the wall. They didn't want the wall, So I gave them a platform to express themselves, how it feels to have a wall blocking you from freely moving.
So this was a political statement, and you were not unlike a lot of people in the truth movement, which has been divided a bit because of Trump. So you were not pro-Trump, you were anti-Trump, or what? Or was it political? I mean, I do expect you to know that politics are the same no matter what side you're on, basically, if you're a Republican or a Democrat, actually. But the Trump thing divided the truth movement because a lot of people in the truth movement, they believe and they also saw that he did a lot of things to try and drain the swamp and to take down the deep state. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I used to hate Trump. I used to hate him. I thought, oh, this arrogant, narcissistic, egocentric man, who the heck he thinks he is, blah, 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 blah. So I used to watch CNN, I was believing all the lies about him. But after the golden toilet, after the wall, little by little, I started kind of switch the sidewalk, kind of like I was introduced to another reality. I moved out of California, went to Arizona. So Arizona was a Republican state. From a Democratic state to a Republican state, kind of.
Yeah, in Hollywood, they're very democratic and very anti-Trump, huh?
Yeah, but I was in San Francisco by the time. I've been moving so much. So, but then I started to see what Trump was really doing, and he was exposing the lies on what's hidden in the swamp, right, in Washington, especially the pedophilia thing, that for me, being a pedophile is the biggest crime against humanity, molesting, raping, torturing, abducting a child. It's the most satanic thing you can ever do to someone, to a child.
And that is the biggest taboo that nobody is talking about. And that's why they want you to focus on the Me Too movement and the feminist movement, right? Also in Hollywood, because they don't want anybody to expose what is actually really going on. This is just the tip of the iceberg with the women's issues in Hollywood and around the world, because what they're really not talking about is the children, right?
Yeah, because it seems everybody in power is involved with pedophilia. It's kind of a part of the cult to gain power in politics in US. It's kind of a rite of passage, that...
And probably around the world as well.
Yeah, because it's kind of... when you want to gain so much power, it's like a fraternity, fraternities. You have to pass the test and they make you do horrible things to be accepted in the fraternities, in US especially. So with political power, it's the same. They make you do all these satanic rituals and then they film it so they can blackmail you. So they have you as a puppet and they're pulling the strings. So that's why they're all...
slaving for them in a way.
Yeah, exactly. So
and offering fame and fortune if you just do what you're told.
Yeah, and eternal life, like getting the life force of a child is gaining your power, your youth, it's kind of a way of that's extreme vampirism,
Are we talking about on an energetic level or on this physical level? Because they do that as well during these horrific satanic rituals. But people also talk about, as you just mentioned, the life force, the life energy. So Satanism is several things. It's a physical thing, terrible, of course, horror. but it's also an energetic thing. And then we go when we go out of body, it's more on a soul level, on an interdimensional level. And they also talk about how this so-called deity or something, a satanic deity or an archon, reptilian or whatever can manifest through these rituals supposedly done by these elitists. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, as a priestess, I believe in the good and the evil, and I totally believe we're in a satanic agenda right now. The pandemic agenda is a satanic agenda. And, all these low vibrational beings, all these reptilians, hidden underground because they hate the light, just like vampires, right? So they're feeding off of our low vibrational emotions of fear, anger. That's why they cause chaos and wars around the world, right? They're feeding off of that. And that's in an energetic level. But in a physical level, you can get the life force of a child through their pineal gland, right? So especially when you scare them to death, they release this adrenaline and it goes to the pineal gland. And that's what they get from out. Adrenochrome, it's adrenaline and chrome is the blood. So,
and what does that do for people when they drink this adrenochrome, which is sold now even, and this is even just public knowledge actually, well, if you look for it, but most people don't look for truth. So they only hear what is being told to them by the mainstream media, who are all repeaters and not reporters. So what do you think is happening when you drink this substance?
Well, it's like the highest drug form in the universe, they say, right? You get this euphorical state, empowerment, and this youth. You regain your youth, your power, your stamina, I don't know what it does. I never had it and I never will, because I believe we can get that life force through other mediums, through other ways, which doesn't hurt anyone or anything. You can still get those high states of consciousness without doing all those satanic things. That's what my head is kind of trying to understand. I mean, how can you do that? Because it only affects yourself. It's like what you do to others, you do it to yourself. So that's why they want more, they want more, they want more. It's like heroin, right? Because if you don't have it, you kind of lose your power, so you lose your youth. So you need to keep getting it, right? So, but until when? You're a slave forever. You actually sold your soul to the devil.
And what do you think will happen with those people once they leave the body at the point of death? Do you think that they are safe in that dimension as well, whether or not it's the fourth dimension, or people talk about the heavenly realm or whatever realm? Time is the fourth dimension they talk about. So if you want to go past that, you have to go through the fifth or whatever, go to source. What will happen with those people who've performed these dreadful satanic rituals?
Well, I believe in the Buddhist principle of karma and dharma. So what you do in this life, it's going to reflect to your afterlife. So I believe that you can come back as a really low vibrational being, or somebody with really health issues or deformities, to relearn love and compassion to your afterlife, because you have inflicted so much pain and suffering to other human beings, that then in the next life you're going to be the one who's going to feel all the pain and suffering.
A lot of people are also talking at the moment about this fourth dimensional heavenly realm, we've discussed it a lot on our show, whether or not that this heavenly realm, this white light frequency that people go to at the point of death, that it may be a soul trap, a karma soul trap, a karma wheel, reincarnational soul trap with the life review created by the archons in order to lure human consciousness and these souls to go back on Earth, where the archons can keep feeding on our anxiety and angst and fear and terror and everything which is basically going on this prison planet that they also say is quarantined in some kind of way. Why would, let's say, Source, Force, or God allow this to happen? And if these, I know this is a lot of questions in one. If there is a God, why would it, he, whatever, allow this to take place? And if those elitists know about this and they're working with reptilians possessed possibly by archons, maybe they know how to bypass that whole thing at the point of death and won't have to go back in this karma wheel trap, being deformed or whatever. I'm sorry to hit you with so much at one point.
Yeah, and I just want to say something really important that really struck on me, when I read that when you see the tunnel of light, the tunnel with the light at the end, never go through that tunnel. It's a trap. Because then you get reborn again. It's like the birth canal, right? It's like the vaginal canal when you get reborn. That tunnel, you come back to Earth. And I don't really want to come back here, So I want to do everything that it's right. I want to do all the work to just ascend, to go to a higher realm with higher frequency. And I believe we're all architects of our own life and destiny, and we all have to master all those skills. But we have been so indoctrinated, we're vaccinated. For example, I believe the vaccines, when you're a newborn, removes all those knowledge and wisdom and skills that humans have at the moment of birth. They take it all away from you, So I believe the vaccines are really satanic because it just kind of calcifies and blocks the pineal gland and your connection with the divine, with yourself, with your soul. That's why we're so lost. That's why we don't know who we are, where we're coming from, where we go,
So what about those that they're asking the whole world to take right now? This kind of poison.
They're so desperate, Lucas. They're so pathetically desperate for you to take this vaccine that it's been rushed in less than a year. It's not a vaccine, it's an experiment. Vaccines take years to develop, to test. They skipped the animal testing. They skipped it. So now we are the rat labs. We are the las ratas.
They're testing it on humans, but I mean, if supposedly...
us. And they're so desperate in US, they're offering cash prizes, lottery tickets. If you convince a friend or family or neighbor to take the vaccine, they give you $50 cash reward. Or they give you donuts, free beer, they give you free Uber rides. They're so fucking desperate because people are fucking waking up. Finally. And it's unbelievable how you can defend this vaccine. And people in Spain, they're so brainwashed, so indoctrinated because they watch TV all day long. And I know that because in my family, they were watching TV like God. At the lunchtime, the TV is God. Everything the TV says, they believe it. So in Spain, everybody's getting vaccinated. Unbelievable.
So do you think that supposedly, I mean, some people talk about there being nanotechnology in these jabs that could link our, not only the body, our brain frequencies in order to hit us and steer us with mind control technology, but actually even the ingredients in this in these jabs, going in on a cellular level, maybe even mitochondrial level or whatever, to hit to connect us with AI, the AI super brain, not human made, obviously, but that goes beyond the Neuralink Musk thing and the grid around Earth, 5G and all this. So could that be another layer in this whole game in order for human consciousness to be absorbed, to be imprisoned by this AI super brain so that they cannot escape and go through the whatever tunnel or bypass the matrix, go to source or whatever at the point of death? That was a lot again.
Yeah, you speak my language. I just love you so much because I've been watching all your shows and you guys speak my language. And I'm just so honored to be here, like sharing my truth, because I'm all about that. I'm all about saving one's souls, humanity's souls. Saving our own soul should be the highest priority in this lifetime, because it's the only valuable asset thing, however you want to call it, we have. We're own soul. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. The body is just now is a vehicle to move around and to do what we have to do, but the soul is so precious and we have to keep it pure and intact. And I believe the satanic agenda is about enslaving the soul of humanity to lock us into this matrix, this this prison, the prison planet. And I'm all about saving the soul of humanity because it's so precious. And
it's actually the next level to what everybody else is seeing, which is on the physical level, and that we're being restrained and imprisoned right here, and house arrest and the lockdowns and all of this. And now, of course, this physical poison that they urge people to take. But when we talk about the soul level and the consciousness beyond the physical, then this is something that people have to wake up to as well, don't you?
Exactly, because people have no time to think about the soul, right? And like working so much during the day to make ends meet, and there's we're all so stressed out, right? And we all want to go back to normal. That's why I cannot discuss these things with my family because they have other priorities. They want to go back to normal, so they just do what the government are telling them to go back to their lives, which they never will, right? So that's an illusion. But we are not taught in our school, our society, that we are soul beings. No, we're human beings.
So what do you urge people to do or encourage people to do when they can't speak to their family, even their closest relatives sometimes? People can't get to them. They can't reach them. They can't make them understand because now they're trying to, they feel like they want to save their lives now,
I know, and you have to be very compassionate and loving. We all have different evolutionary processes going on and journeys. So they have their own, maybe we're a little faster and in a higher position than they are, maybe more awake we can call ourselves. We have to feel compassion for them and, just like I had a really good best friend, that he decided to take the jab, and after telling me he wasn't going to do it, and because he wanted to go back to normal, he said, "You will never go back to normal. You're just you fucked it all up." And then we got into this argument and fight, and then calling ourselves names, and then we got into the conclusion that that was part of the agenda, the satanic agenda, to divide and conquer, right? So then we came back to unconditional love, go back always to unconditional love, and this is all an illusion. Only love is real. So the love you have for your family and friends is the only real thing. The rest is just an illusion. So just go back to your heart and speak from your heart. The egos get hurt. You know, we have fragile human egos that get really reactive.
But so if people in your family already took these jabs.
Exactly. And I send them links. I try to speak to them. They don't listen to me. Like right now, my brother bought my book, my second book, which is the first member of my family who ever did that. So, you know, little by little, I'm kind of planting the seeds. You know, he's kind of opening his mind and his heart. But
did you have a good upbringing? I mean, was that part of shaping who you are now? I mean, would you call it a good upbringing?
Yeah, well, I was born when my mom was 42 years old. And my brothers and sisters are way older than me, 15, 16 years older than me. So I was a lonely child. And I had a wild imagination. You know, I was in my own little world because I didn't want to be part of their world. You know, my middle brother was a drug addict, and, you know, my family was watching TV all day, and Catholics. I was born and raised in a Catholic family. It's all about shame, blame, guilt. You know, it's a cult of death. Catholicism, you see the naked Jesus, bloody naked Jesus. That's why maybe I love blood so much, and death, you know, I was just born into this. So I said, I don't want to be part of any of these. So
But do you love it, or do you use it to expose it? I mean, obviously you found a way to use it in your art. You found a way to use it to gain attention to the problems.
Yeah, because look, Jesus, for example, Jesus on the cross, bloody and vulnerable, gets the world's attention, right? So if a woman does that too, it gets even more attention, you know? So I was raised with that image of suffering and pain, and, you know, so that's reflected on my activism, of course.
Did that create a good balance in your understanding of your own personality, you as a woman, or maybe even your sexuality or your relationship with men and women?
Well, in sexuality, I mean, I love men, and, you know, just but I love beauty, so I'm attracted to beauty, you know, and I don't care what gender you are, but I just wanted to be free, you know. I just wanted to be fucking free and exercise my free will. And, you know.
And did that also mean being free sexually to express yourself?
To explore, you know. So at the age of 16, at the legal age in Spain, I could just quit school, quit my family, and start my new life, you know. So I moved to the big city, Barcelona, from the south, Tarragona. Started doing acting in a university, and I started exploring the nightlife and the sexual life and the drug life. So I had to go through all that, you know, just kind of redefine who I am. And it was a nice process, you know, like everything I went through, it came this as a result.
Did you ever go into shamanism?
Well, shamanism, I've done ayahuasca 5 times, which is really amazing. Highly recommended to all of you. Have you done it, ayahuasca?
Well, I do know of obviously quite a number of people also within the truth movement who has done it, and people in spiritual circles, and I find it extremely fascinating. And I do know that there's a lot of messages that people can get from, let's say, other realms, and also a lot of meetings with otherworldly beings, extraterrestrials or interdimensionals. Interestingly enough, a friend of mine had these ayahuasca experiences, and who was not into the whole truth research and did not know a lot about aliens, so to speak, but who actually came back and told me and other people about her experiences, and they were absolutely accurate in terms of what I have also been studying without having ever tried it. So, and people have very different experiences trying this ayahuasca, but you know, it's supposed to, I mean, if you're not mentally balanced, or if you're stressed, or if you're not feeling, you know, secure in doing it, would you really recommend people going through this whole process?
This is not a recreational drug. It's not recreational drug. It's not like LSD or ecstasy, you know. You have to do a detox program before and after to take ayahuasca. You have to quit all alcohol, all toxics, drugs, sex, a week or maybe 2 weeks before, so you can be completely pure and cleansed to be able to receive the benefits from the sacred plant.
Why do you also have to quit sex?
Well, because sex, you get the energy of the other person, right? Especially for women. Like you guys just, maybe you release and you disappear, but we hold that energy into our bodies, you know, it's energy, it's an energy exchange. So you have to be very careful who you have sexual activities with, you know, because you can.
Well, in general, you mean, actually in general.
Yeah, not just because diseases and STDs and stuff, you know, but because the energy you get from the other person, you know, we're like sponges. So.
But do you obtain that energy, you mean, or do you just throw it out or excrete it after a while?
Well, for women, it's different than men, you know, it's kind of, we hold into the energy more and we're more open. You are the giver, we're the receivers. So, you know, it's different for me, like, you know, like we're more connected to the person we had sex with. And men just think about their own things, you know, they're more simplistic and maybe they don't feel as we do, you know, but...
Well, in general, not that's not true for everybody, but I guess a blatant generalization. But I mean, I think, do you think that you actually absorb the energy of the other person? I'm not talking just about bodily juices.
I believe so. Tell me who you go with and I'll tell you who you are. So our friends, our family, our inner circle has a high influence on who we are. You know, it affects our vibration. And, you know, some people can calm us down, some people can aggravate us more. So we're always constantly affected by energies, you know. So imagine when you get really close to somebody, so it gets more intensified, right? So you have to be protective.
So people shouldn't just pick somebody up at a party and
absolutely
say, oh.
not. Absolutely not. You have to first have a nice conversation to see if the person matches your intellect, your spirituality, and then maybe burn some sage, some sandalwood, and have a little clean ceremony and just take a bath and cleanse everything out. You know, I just do the priestess way. That's the priestess.
But maybe the whole, let's say, well, I won't say romance, but maybe that tingling feeling has disappeared if you have to sit there with sage and whatnot and purify the whole thing.
Well, that means the person is not the right one for you. So bye-bye, next, you know. If somebody can endure all that process, you see, it's really receptive to who you are and your energy. So then you become more excited, more open, right? And the juices are going. So, you know, my own process. But going back to ayahuasca, is the high-speed ticket to enlightenment.
Please do tell us a little bit about what you've experienced. You don't have to go into a long description, but if something really profound or fascinating happened to you, or you had a specific vision, or you experienced it, did it feel like you were there, like it was real?
Absolutely, absolutely. The first time was the worst, because I had so many demons I had to work through, and I was purging, I was vomiting, I was using the bathroom all the time, releasing all these toxins. I heard these demons talking on the side of my ears, you know, like kind of these voices. So because it opens the spirit realm, right? When you do Even when you drink alcohol, alcohol means spirit. That's why they call it spirits. Alcohol, it's an Arab name that means spirit. So you invite the spirits to come into your body, right? So ayahuasca is even more.
Is that actually also why the Muslims call the archons the jinn, which the Christians call the demons, and then there is there is an alcohol spirits that they it's called jinn.
Yeah, and they're all low vibrational beings, you know. But then when you are in ayahuasca ceremony and you're really protected and it's a sacred circle, you know, you invite the high interdimensional beings to come to you to deliver messages, you know. And for example, when I lost my twin flame in 2018, I did my 4th ayahuasca session and I had incredible revelations. He was still in the bardo. So when you die, you have 49 days in transition between realms. Did you know that? Comes from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the bardo.
Bardo state, yes. But you say it was a twin brother?
Twin flame.
Twin flame. Okay, so it was somebody that you were spiritually connected to that they call twin flames.
Like a split of your soul, twin flames. Right now, it's getting really mainstream media attention because it's a way for the planet Earth and the universe to raise its vibrational through unconditional love. So more and more people around the world are recognizing that twin flame connections.
So it was a boyfriend, or was it? Or
well, it's more than that. It's more than that, you know. As a soul family, we have many soulmates, you know, but as a twin flame, we only have one, and it's a twin mirror. It's a split of your soul, so it's reflecting back who you are, you know. And it's a roller coaster of emotions, and it's a high-speed ticket to enlightenment too, the twin flame relationship. So when I did that ayahuasca, I had these revelations. I could see them right in front of me, you know. And then I understood that death is just an illusion. And, you know, the opposite of death is not life. Can you tell me the opposite of death? What's the opposite of death? Birth. Birth is the opposite of death because it's a continuous process. You know, the soul goes on. So death is just an illusion, right? So through that journey, I got more into the death.
The soul never dies.
Never dies, never dies. That's why it's so precious to keep it pure and intact, protected and nurtured, you know, because it's highly attacked right now, you know. They want to take our souls. First, they wanted to take our bodies, then our minds and our souls, right? So,
yeah, it's quite clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually met your boyfriend, your twin flame. Why was he the same age as you, or I mean, how did you?
He was 30. I'm 41, and he was 30, and he was the same height as me. We're really similar, you know, the divine masculine, divine feminine.
But why did he die then? That sounds terrible. Dying at such a young age.
I know, but it's just so traumatic. It's such a mystery. But he drowned in a pool. He hit his head and drowned in a pool.
In a swimming pool?
In a swimming pool. So,
wow.
I mean, we always loved pools and baths and water. We were both Pisces. So he died in a pool. So a week later, I did the ayahuasca. I went to that pool to do like a photography session as me trying to find him in the bottom of the pool. You know, it was really, really magical, mystical experience.
And you could actually do that at this time, a week later that this had happened?
I did it a week later as a way for me to understand what happened. And then I got out of the pool, I got really cold, and I went to the bathtub to get warm. So I got a hot bath, and I was just kind of laying and resting. And suddenly I noticed I was taking over. My body was taking over. It wasn't me anymore. And I started like kissing and biting myself and just doing things I would never do. I was taking over, and my body was taking over. I got so frightened because I wasn't sure what was going on. I never had that experience in my life. So I kind of pulled back into my body. You know, you can do that. You can come back into your body as a free will, you know. And then I asked my friend from my phone. I turned it on, and he sent me a message, my twin flame, from his phone. He was already dead, but he sent me a text message at 4:44 p.m. That was such a special number, 444. It's an angel number of confirmation that you are protected and guided by the universe. So what you're feeling is real. 444.
He sent you a text message on your phone from his phone when he was already dead. How can that happen? Did somebody take his phone or try to pull a trick on you?
Maybe it was a joke, but nobody knew about the 444. That's a crazy thing. Why at 4:44 p.m.? He sent me a photo of him with his hands on the air, laughing, smiling, like, you know, it's all a joke. It's all an illusion. And that's the message I got.
So you're sure that nobody else tampered with it or sent it to trick you or to, you know, to fool you in a way?
But who is going to know at that precise moment to send me that message while I was having this experience in my body taking over? I felt my body was taking over, an exact 444. You know, when I checked my phone, it was 4, maybe 5. So when I was at the peak of this experience, it was 444. So when I turned on the phone and I saw that message of 444, I thought, only him knows. You know, like some spirits in the Bardo, they can send messages that only the other person only knows about it. Nobody else in the world but that person. So they know, so they get to know that we are still connected with. It's just like, it's crazy, right? It's absolutely crazy. But I had this experience. It was real. I talk about that in my book, you know, in my section of Priestess of Unconditional Love. So people can understand more where I'm coming from. And
also more about twin flames and how they can understand that, that, let's say, this very special connection. So that's you and him, is it?
Yeah.
He was also an artivist.
Well, he was a spiritual leader and life coach. He wanted to help people in his own way. He was a hypnotherapist. He was an amazing being, but, you know, he lost his mom at the age of 2 on Christmas Day. The mom, she suicided herself on Christmas Day when he was 2. So he had drug problems for the rest of his life. So he was really traumatized and stuff, you know. So he had heroin problems, meth problems. So he was inviting all these bad spirits into his body, into his life, you know. And
have you grown in your, let's say, how you perceive people or connections, how you understand them? Well, as you've gotten older and learned a lot from life and have done all of the things that you have done now on the street and working in different countries as well. And I'm sure you've met a lot of really, let's say, interesting and creative and flamboyant, probably also quite crazy people, or some people would call them crazy. Are you good at using discernment with when you meet people, when you connect with them, so that you don't get too involved with somebody who might be, let's say, energy vampires, or somebody who would, you know, suddenly change, or that you will discover that they were not who you thought they were?
Well, you know, the eyes are the mirrors of the soul. So when you talk to someone, just look straight to their eyes and you will get to know them. You know, and if they try to hide, they try to look to the sides or wear sunglasses or have something weird in their eyes, you know. So I would just feel the other person's energy, you know. And
But some people can be really alluring and look quite beautiful and you know, appealing.
Psychopaths and sociopaths are the most charming, right? So sociopaths and psychopaths are so charming that you get their spell. You are under their spell, right? But you know, at the beginning, I always think everybody is good. Everybody has a good soul. They're good people. You know, I give them a chance until they prove me wrong. But I just believe, you know, like we're all good people, you know, even these corrupted, sick politicians and many in power, they're sick people. They deserve love. It's all a call for love. You know, we all want love at the end of the day. You know, we all want to be loved and to love.
But do you think that some people can actually be born as a psychopath, or do you think that they're being born by, you know, being taken over, or that they are, like, say, well, possessed by archons or demons, or so to speak? What is a psychopath? Is that something that is created at the early stages of a baby's or a child's life, or do you think some people can be born with it?
I watched this interesting show about psychopaths and sociopaths, and they were having a sort of an issue with the amygdala, you know, the amygdala. So they were lacking something in the amygdala that what brings more compassion and empathy towards others. And, you know, amygdala comes from Mary Magdalene, you know. Magdalene is the high priestess. She was a priestess of Isis too. It's all about love and compassion. So they lack the empathy, and they operate more from the reptilian brain, the reptilian part of the brain. So they're more cold and calculated, and you know, so, yeah. I mean, but I still feel compassion for them. You know, I just believe love can overcome everything. So you know.
Do you think that what a lot of researchers in the truth movement and people who've been researching what is going on behind the scenes, also in the whole political game, what they're saying, do you think that the deep state factions of the government might be working with extraterrestrial reptilian races that are present here on planet Earth?
And then the shifters, I believe it all. You know, and I just love David Icke. That's how I was introduced to the reptilian world. And I totally believe it, you know. I mean, it's so clever to be a shapeshifter, you know. I totally believe I don't know if I can say that, but the queen, you know, this little tiny lady, sweet lady, she's a 7 feet tall blue lizard, you know, and maybe that's why Lady Diana was silenced, because she saw it. And then, you know, I have high imagination. I love to think those things, and it's possible. And humanity is enslaved. We're enslaved by these low vibrational beings. They feed off of us, you know, and the reptilians, they live underground. It's a huge space. You know, the hollow earth, right?
And do you believe in inner earth civilizations and hollow earth like Agartha, for example, that people talk about?
Absolutely. So above, so below. You know, I believe the center of the planet Earth is the sun. And then we have all these oceans and vegetation and cities underground, like General Byrd. In beginnings of last century, he actually flew into the North Pole hole, and he came back and he explained what he saw, and he was taken to the mental institution, right? He was told never to speak again about the subject. You know, like Jules Verne, Odyssey in the, you know, center of the world, Jules Verne.
Journey to the center of the earth.
Yeah, that's the one. So it's all based on truth, you know. It's like the myths about vampirism, about dragons. It's all based on truth.
So what about those, a lot of people, of course, this is also dividing the truth movement. Some people call it a psyop, and a lot of people, and some people say it's no, this is the truth. The so-called flat earthers, people that believe that the earth is actually flat. Some people also believe that it's both round and a globe and with a hollow earth and inner earth civilizations, and flat depending on your, well, perception or what you believe, or holographically it's both. I mean, it's very confusing, of course, but what do you say to this?
It's confusing, but I think it's closer to the Truman Show than what we think. You know, it's really close to the Truman Show with the firmament that was in the Bible. The firmament, they're talking about the firmament, this cupola covering planet Earth, and it's
A dome, like a dome.
and you know, all these stars we see, I don't think they're all stars. I believe that most of it are spine stations or big satellites or something that watching down, you know, and we're watched all the time. It can be anything, you know.
So what are your thoughts on Saturn? A lot of people say that Saturn and the rings around Saturn are beaming a frequency of mind control, frequency control to quarantine planet Earth. Because also in mythology, we had the god Saturn was Kronos or Kronos, which was known as Father Time, the Grim Reaper, and you know, Saturn's
Yeah,
Satan.
I love the planet Saturn. It's fascinating. You know, I'm into the black cube, you know, the black cube, that it's everywhere in many logos. And
Used for symbolism by all the elitists and the secret societies. The black cube, of course.
and the Jews Orthodox banging their heads on the wall, you know, with a little black cube Bible that they have and stuff, you know. And then when you graduate, you have a black cube over your head.
And the Muslims worship the black cube in Mecca. They walk around it like the rings of Saturn.
Yeah, and I believe, yeah, we are trapped in this time, illusion of time, in circles. Time goes in circles, it feels, right? Like Saturn is such a mysterious planet, and it's gaseous, made of gas, right? It's not even physical, it's not even material, the planet.
Some people even claim that it could be other things than what we are told in terms of the official narrative that we hear from NASA and other places in history books.
And the hexagon, you know, it's fascinating. I mean, the planet is so fascinating.
The hexagram, of course.
Yeah.
And pentagram and all of that they use from this. But this is also very interesting in terms of both when you look at it from an astrological point of view and also mythology, and in terms of how they do these satanic rituals, because this is also Saturn, Satan symbolism.
And Set is the evil brother of Isis. It all comes from there, you know, Set, Saturn. And then, you know, it's the black sun. So I believe the sun needs Saturn to be able to orbit the planets too. So they need both energies, you know, to orbit the planets. Have you ever heard the sounds of Saturn? You can go on YouTube. They're so eerie. It's like a David Lynch movie.
Absolutely.
Industrial sound, so like airy and creepy. Wow, I believe it can be held, you know, like some souls go there and get trapped there, you know.
Well, it is frequency control, they say, and this is also what we're experiencing on the planet right now here in 2021. And this whole UN Agenda 21 plan, UN Agenda 2030, controlling all water and land and resources, and of course, well, perception control, mind control as well is the end game, I suppose. And of course the resources also through a climate change agenda. This is almost, this is Saturnian symbolism in a way, a big ritual, huh?
Yeah, and now Bill Gates wants to dim the sun, block the sunlight. That's, that's so evil, so satanic to block the sun, because the sun is life, right? It's the light. And
yeah, everything is fake and everything is man-made, whatever we are put through here. And I guess there must be a reason why we are here at this very crucial time in history. I suppose that when future generations will look back at this particular spot on the timeline, that it was a turning point, it was a time of change, and something that will never be forgotten.
Yeah, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., one of my heroes, said, this is the true apocalypse. And he really said that he never thought he could live through. He could experience the apocalypse, that it's coming, it's here. This is a true apocalypse. And, this is the tipping point of humanity to really free our souls or be a slave forever, and then...
And this is why they want to do the Great Reset, huh? Klaus Schwab and the whole World Economic Forum.
And, it's just so terrifying. How can anybody can listen to that man? Yeah, and then we're giving more power to AI all the time. As we speak right now, we're giving power to the AI. They're getting all the data and everything, every day they're getting smarter AI, getting like... one of my favorite movies ever is 2001, A Space Odyssey, HAL 9000. And Stanley Kubrick, he's like a Nostradamus of the movie making. He reveals so much through his movies, especially, 2001 and The Shining, about the fake moon landing. But we're giving so much power that that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to empower that.
And also Eyes Wide Shut, certainly, huh?
Yeah, especially in the pedophilia in Hollywood. And then 5 days later, he delivered the final cut, the director's cut, and then he had the heart attack. He was a perfectly healthy man, but he had a heart attack induced.
And they took out 25 minutes that they wanted him to take out, which he refused. And then it was released, this cut version. And even what is out there, even what is included, is already quite shocking, huh? And revealing as well.
Yeah, but just like the movie says, eyes wide shut.
Which is what we're seeing now.
There you go, because you can still see so much in that movie, But there is a scene, for example, when Tom Cruise gets into the castle, where they have the orgy and the ceremony. He goes down to a hall and there is a door half open. He takes a peek inside the room. And there is a pentagram on the floor, implying that that's a sacrifice room, and that's so revealing that they had to take it out of the movie. Did you know that?
It's what we hear, but we haven't seen it yet. Wouldn't it be fascinating to see the uncut version if that was ever to surface?
Yeah, because the first time I watched that movie, it didn't make any fucking sense. I said, oh, no, it doesn't make any sense. It's supposed to be the best Kubrick movie, but no, it didn't make any sense because it was like so scattered. It didn't, but then little by little, I got to understand the meaning.
And do you think that Kubrick did direct the moon landing on a sound stage or maybe even in the Nevada desert in 1969?
Maybe that's how was he able to make 2001 Space Odyssey with the same sets and the same equipment and the same everything, you know. He was he was a Mason. He was part of this Masonry cult and stuff, you know. So he knew a lot. And maybe he got the deal. He said, okay, I'll film the fake moon landing if you guys allow me to make 2001 A Space Odyssey. I mean, it was one after other. It's just, you know.
And he never returned to America. He stayed in England. He never returned and made other films. Everything was set there, even Eyes Wide Shut, which was supposedly shot in New York. I mean, they made even the setting of New York in Manhattan on a London soundstage, huh?
Yeah, and the Full Metal Jacket was filmed right next to his home, you know, in an abandoned compound.
Yes, simulating Vietnam or wherever it was supposed to be, huh? But done in England with palm trees and everything.
So when you speak too much and you reveal so much information, you're kind of expelled from Hollywood. And I believe that happened with Roman Polanski too, after Rosemary's Baby, because, oh my God, that movie, especially when, you know, the Pope is giving the ring to kiss, you know, and then the Pope becomes Satan, right, in a way. So he reveals so much in that movie, Rosemary's Baby, that he was accused of being a pedophile, because that was the easiest way to, you know, kind of attack someone, you know, and discredit someone, just call them pedophiles.
But I mean, his wife Sharon Tate was murdered by Charles Manson or whoever was behind all of that, which is also a topic in itself.
CIA operation of mind control, MK Ultra, and they were experimenting with LSD back in the day, you know, some stuff. So it was like an experiment, right?
And there's a lot of dot connecting when you go through that whole Polanski thing, and it has branches out to many different corners and also very interesting. We actually also want to do a whole show about that and symbolism in films. But you as an actress and as an artist, an artivist, which is a wonderful word, you have really put yourself out there in so many fascinating and outrageous and a little bit scary situations. For example, you went on the street for a week or two, or for however long you can tell us, as a homeless person. I don't know if it was on Skid Row in Los Angeles, which is a quite scary place. But I mean, you went there, lived there as a homeless person on the street with no food, just with a sleeping bag and the clothing you had on your back. And you did that voluntarily. Please talk about why you did that. What did you discover?
I used to live in Hollywood, so I was highly impacted by homelessness. Every time I was going down the street, you know, down the freeway, we had all these homelessness that I had to walk through every day. And, you know, they were my neighbors. They were part of me, you know. So it was just becoming a truly pandemic issue, the homelessness. And then I decided to go to understand more how it feels to be a homeless by becoming one. And that was one of my biggest fears in life, right? So all the things I've done, it was a way for me to overcome my fears. You know, if something scares you, go through it, do it. You know?
But also as a woman alone, maybe you could have been robbed or mocked or...
But because I'm protected, and, you know, I'm not a tiny woman, I'm a tall woman, 5'11", I'm strong, you know, I carry myself with confidence. If I were a tiny woman, maybe, but I've been all over the world on my own since I was 16. I'm not afraid. So I had the shopping cart, I have a sleeping bag and a few things. And I had a little camera so I could document my week-long social experiment. And I went down to Skid Row, and the first night was the worst night. The first night I wanted to leave. I wanted to take the metro, take the train and go back to Hollywood and don't tell anyone I was going home. And, you know, I was having these thoughts, right? But then I thought, no, that's not you. You have to have integrity. You have to keep your word. And So the first night was the worst. I slept under a tree. I was beaten by ants. I had roaches this big red, like looking at me. And I was just so tired that I just fell asleep. I said, even though I don't like cucarachas, but then the second day was easier, kind of when I asked her for some money for coffee, and then I bathed myself in the bathroom. So little by little, I understood how it feels to be a homeless woman in downtown LA.
And did you get to talk to other people and see how they were? Was it because of their psychological problems or things happening in their lives?
For many of them, it's a lifestyle. It's like when you see these street dogs here in Mexico, you see many street dogs. They love the street life. Actually, if you want to take them home, they won't go with you. They love to be in the streets. So that's what I understood. It was a lifestyle. And then you saw many men and women on suits going to work during the day, and then at night going back to their tents under the freeway. So they were like businessmen and women during the day, and then they going back to their tents at night.
There were businessmen and women?
Well, I know they look like businessmen and women with suits and nice clothing, but then at night they sleep under the freeway.
Really? Then they were setting up their boxes for the night?
They cannot afford housing in Los Angeles. It's incredibly expensive. Then I met, for example, a Miss USA on Skid Row. She was a Miss USA in 2005 or something. She ended up in Skid Row because of drugs,
Really?
So one thing takes to the other. I met really cool people. But then one night I saw these scary women looking at me, like a couple of women looking at me with these faces like zombies. And, like that's what meth does. It really calls for these evil spirits to take over, So I documented it all in my book, like 10 pages, and I talk about that. It was quite impactful.
What would you say is the most memorable? I mean, I guess they're all really memorable, all of the activist moments that you have done all over the world. But what is the most memorable that stand out the most for you?
For me, well, besides the Palestinian activism, there is one for Catalonia that is quite impactful. It was photo of the day of the Washington Post, and then it became photo of the year by Wall Street Journal.
Photo of the year?
Yeah, so this is the photo. This is how it feels to be a Catalan.
Is that you?
That's me. And that's with the ice suspended. And that's my mom's ashes. That's a really important photo. That was 2 years after my mom passed away. And so, so my mom was there with me, right? My mom was there with me.
But could you breathe with that plastic bag over your head?
Well, they call it the sweet death for a reason, because you don't really feel you're losing oxygen. It's such a sweet feeling that I was laying there, tied up on my knees and hands. And I was just feeling so cozy. Little by little, I was feeling like I was drifting away until I was taken away by somebody who noticed I was kind of passing out.
Wow. You could have died or suffocated.
Yeah, in that moment, I didn't care. I was just, but then I went back home and I saw this photo. It was all over the cover of Spanish newspapers, photo of the day, photo of the year, because the expression of that face with the plastic bag and the flag in the back, it just tells you so much, right? It's such a simple image that really makes you feel so much emotions.
And just a few days ago, Davida, you were outside on, was that just a few days ago or when was it? You were outside a Trader Joe's wearing nothing but face masks covering your genitals.
That wasn't me, actually. That I was a photographer. She actually looked like me.
Oh, that's not you.
No, but I'm the photographer. I'm the mastermind. So it doesn't need to be me. It's not about me, right? So people think it's me, but it's not. It was my idea. It was my photography. It went viral. I got interviewed all over the world. I got banned in China, in UK, in India Times. It was such a big deal. It was at the peak of the pandemic, right? Last year. And so she was shopping, totally covered by masks, but not her mouth. So, her eyes are covered, everything is covered by her mouth. Buying the toilet paper, really important. And then here are the reactions from all over the world, and they're so polarized. So, total extreme opinions, right? From people who wish me death, I'm the most horrible human being on the planet, to people who really admire me. So for an artist, that's such a blessing, right? To have such a polarized opinions about your art. Because when neutrality, apathy is the death of the artist.
You certainly stir up emotions and you create a lot of, let's say, feelings in people. People have an opinion about you, and you do make an extraordinary statement in your work, and it's quite amazing, quite profound and shocking, and it's really exciting to talk to you and also hear how you are as a person and as a woman, and what you really feel is important to do in this world. Would you encourage other people who may have the same talent and bravery like you to do a similar thing like you have done as an artivist?
Absolutely, absolutely. We are powerful beyond measure. One idea can change the world, but when you take that idea into action, it has this domino effect, right? So just show up as who you are, with what you have. If you have your body, or you have your creative talents, or your ideas, or a sign, just do something. Go to the streets and show the people that somebody cares. Because the real pandemic is the apathy right now. Ignorance, but apathy, neutrality. People don't care anymore. So my biggest desire is to make you feel motivated and courage to take action for brothers and sisters who cannot speak for themselves. It feels so good. At the end of the day, you feel like you have done something for someone,
And how can people contact you, get in touch with you if they want to do an interview with you, and how can people purchase your books?
So you can go to my social media. On Facebook, it's Davida Sal. Davida means to give life. That's why I put my name, Davida Sal, or Instagram, Priestess Davida. And if you want my book, I'll ship it to you. I don't use any platform or Amazon. I just work with trust. And I'm a public figure, so people really trust who I am and what I do.
But can people also contact you through an email address where you can send the books and ship it to them?
Yes, it's Davida 444. Davida DAVIDA 444 @gmail.com. 444 because you know how special is that number.
Great. So people can contact you there. Well, you are certainly a great inspiration, and I'm sure you have been and will be in the future for many, and very motivational and very fascinating what you are doing. And it's been an absolute joy, a real thrill, and it's been really great having you on the show. And I want to thank you so much, Davida Sal, Priestess Davida, for being on Age of Truth TV. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, I'm so thrilled. You are such an amazing, inspirational being, and thank you for all your work. And keep going. You know, we're all here. We're all here for us, for you, for humanity, for all of us. Beautiful. So I hope you come down to Mexico sometime. You know.
Thank you so much, Davida. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks.
And I'll see you another time, huh?
Yes, please. Hasta la vista. Gracias.
Thank you very much to Priestess Davida Sal, and thanks to all of you for watching Age of Truth TV. You can support us by clicking onto our website, ageoftruth.tv. And please like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell for notifications. You can sign up for our newsletter on our website, ageoftruth.tv as well. Please also subscribe to our alternative channels on BitChute and Brighteon, where we have videos up that were previously on this channel and sadly taken down. Your support is greatly appreciated. On behalf of the Age of Truth TV team, we thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.